while your kid goes maniacally crazy on that. That's a great thing. And it doesn't mean it has to look or feel bad. It can be sophisticated. Yeah. It can be comfortable.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Russ, and this is the Memory Makers Podcast, the show that helps you make amazing customer experiences and make more memories. And I am joined today by Bob McCall of JKRP. We are currently recording this as we're at our Amusement 360 event, and I'm so excited to have you here because I think that one of the biggest things when we're talking with customers who are trying to put together a concept is, where do I start from? And your team is so critical at helping them from a number of ways, really being impactful of being there from the word go, where, hey, if we're going to start looking at locations potentially and what is that space going to lend itself to, what are some stumbling points that we may need to be cognizant of. Sure. Your firm, one, with your experience in the FEC industry, but also knowing how to work with general contractors and anticipating, helping them set the stage as they're really trying to get off of the ground early and avoid some critical mistakes. So as you have spent a lot of time working and developing these concepts, what are some of the things that jump out to you as somebody brand new to the industry that they really need to be cognizant of when they're looking at spaces or how to start about that process?
It basically comes down to one thing, communication.
Yeah.
And communication early.
Yes.
So one of the things that we do is when we first meet a potential client, we have this checklist, which is like 10 pages.
Yeah.
And basically, it's essentially every issue that's come up on every project in the last 20 years. Yeah. But also, it's making sure that they actually did their homework.
Right.
So we want to be involved as early as possible in the process. But by the time they come to us, it's fantastic if they actually know, number one, who they are and who they want to be, right?
Right.
And if they come through us through an FEC consultant and they've already done all of that homework, it's incredible. And ideally, we do a lot of existing buildings. And most of our issues arise when we are not involved before they sign their lease.
Sure.
Because in their lease is a myriad of like landmines from the work letter, what the landlord's going to provide,
right,
to commencement of rent,
okay,
and everything like that. So communication, get your architect involved as early as possible and do all of your homework, do your feasibility study, figure out who you want to be, and then from there we'll start adding the attractions like laser tag and the mini golf and everything like that.
We can earmark out where some of the space requirements are going to be and how that can be set up. But even, do you guys have experience also working and helping educate even a client's realtor of like, hey, these are the types of locations that you should have on your short list to evaluate, whether that's how they may be zoned already for use or what that part of the process is going to look like, MEPs and all of those kinds of things too?
That's another one of those landmines because 95% of our FEC work goes into existing ex-retail spaces.
Sure.
And so people walk into, like, it was a Best Buy last month. I can just walk in, I'm going to throw my stuff in there, and we're going to be golden, which is not the case because that Best Buy is a retail use.
Right.
Retail uses have different considerations for parking, different considerations for mechanical air changes and cooling.
Bathrooms, I'd assume.
Everything. And so when we, if this is the first time we're seeing the building and our MEP engineer says, well, we're going to have to add 3 rooftop units. And by the way, your parking is short. There's ways around everything.
Sure.
So when we talk about, for example, parking, most of these retail buildings that we go in are in a big sea of retail, right?
Yeah.
And a way around that is while the assembly requires more parking, we do a concept of shared parking because all the retail in that center basically is used during the day.
Right.
FECs
going to use evenings and nights.
And that's an argument that, knock on wood, works every time.
Yeah. Well, and that's the biggest thing when I talk to folks and they're like, oh, well, my brother-in-law is going to be our GC and I've got this buddy of mine that lives down the road that's an architect. And it's like, well, have they done anything? Like, they may have been an architect for homes, but they haven't thought about where and how you're positioning labor points. So how are you laying out some of these things and also being cognizant of just throughput and capacity with these different attractions and helping really being that central point of contact throughout the entire process because you guys will impact every aspect of what that business is. and such a big opportunity to save time and money of, hey, we're 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and that can escalate and snowball quickly if we're not thinking about it.
100%. So we want our clients to think of their architect as their trusted advisor and essentially the conductor.
Yes.
Because there are so many moving parts in FEC.
Right.
From all of, our engineering, but also all of the vendors, from like laser tag, mini golf, bowling, you name it.
Yeah.
And the arcade, of course. And the architect is really the only individual on that team who's paying attention to that. The arcade needs this electric from our electrical engineer.
Right.
Laser tag needs this, and everybody at this event are like cream of the crop, are experts. But you probably don't pay attention to the needs of the bowling when it's next to one of your laser tag. That's your architect's job to do.
Absolutely. When you look at, one of your favorite success stories of helping a client navigate through some of these pieces, and we've heard clients where it's, oh my gosh, we didn't get the inspection in before, or our municipality switched to a newer version of the International Building Code, and so now we're going to have to sprinkle this where we were previously grandfathered in. Like, there are so many of those things that can pop up. What is one of your favorite wins working with a client where it's, hey, we've had this problem come up, but here's how we were able to navigate it?
I think universally, and this is why we do pay so much attention to, before anybody gets started, doing all of our homework.
Right.
Because our favorite wins are when we don't have to win anything, right?
Yeah.
But, the thing about it is on every project, there's always an issue.
Sure.
And I tell some of my younger designers when they come to me, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm like, well, I guess we're just going to have to throw our hands up and tell the client we're not going to build a building. Of course we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
We're going to fix it, and we're going to come up with some sort of like meaningful, hopefully realistic solution to it. I love being at the end of the project. There's kind of like this curve, and you definitely know this.
Yeah.
We're all like lovey-dovey in the beginning. But once you're in that sort of like, we're supposed to be opening in 3 weeks.
The pressure cooker aspect of
whatever. But if you have like great team members, great consultants, vendors, great contractor, and everybody works as a team, then when you're at the party, when it's opening up, it's like they're your best friends.
Yeah. Well, and I think that the one thing that I always, when I'm talking with a client and they're looking at developing a concept, it's just like, one, every municipality is going to have different nuances. They may be on different versions of the International Builder Code or the IBC, as they look at that. Or they may have a person that's a fire marshal that's not really done anything with laser tag before and doesn't understand how does this work from an ADA compliance and what are the variations and the kind of proof of concept of what else is already there in the market. So like one example is we were working with a client, Frankie's Fun Parks, and they were opening up a new location in Charlotte. Well, this is a, huge facility of indoor, outdoor. It's a $30-40 million project. Right. Well, they're getting hit with stuff like, hey, we've got to build a $1 million retaining wall, which, or they were getting pushed back on a second level play structure inside of their laser tag arena. And so we then had to go in and actually meet with the code compliance folks and explain to them, hey, this is how the attraction works from an ADA compliance standpoint. This is why this doesn't have to have an ADA ramp in it because of how we don't have to use this space or it's an expanded field of play. And so what I always try to really reinforce is like your architect is going to, one, have either localized connections or enough experience or projects that they've done in where they've seen these things pop up before. So to your point of doing the homework where it's, oh gosh, okay, we've done this 28 times before. Here's that kind of common law or proof or, ooh, yes, that says this, but we apply for a variance and this is how we lay that out. Like those are the things I feel like when you're looking at a partner such as yourselves who have that FEC experience because it's a specific case use where you can lay out that groundwork.
If you read IBC cover to cover, the word laser tag
doesn't exist.
Most of what we do doesn't exist in that book. So there's a lot of education. One of the things we try to do is at the very beginning of a project, meet with the code officials. Saying, this is what we're going to do. This is why this works per code. This is why this works per code. If we can do that, try to do it. Doesn't always work, but eventually, all of the vendors have great documentation on why it works. You guys, especially, are very good partners.
I appreciate that. With anything that you are seeing with the existing concepts that you guys are developing, and don't, violate any NDAs or things like that, but as you're looking at a variety of different concepts, one of the things that I feel like is really emerging as a must-have is how are we creating a food and beverage opportunity within the spaces, and not just having it. Some places you can do a quick casual, but if some folks will tend to shy away from food and beverage, where it's like, oh, okay, we'll have some snack shack kind of quick stuff. But really, one of the bigger things that I've encouraged folks to take a hard look at is, if they don't have to run errands for their entertainment, and they can come and you can be not just an entertainment venue, but also a place that they like to go and eat.
Yes.
So that's one trend that I'm seeing. Are there other trends that you guys are seeing within the concepts, and stuff that is just interesting to kind of keep your finger on the pulse of for the listeners?
I think the food and beverage is key. So we started out 30-something years ago, really doing a lot of movie theater.
Right.
And I think movie theater people are just like the old school bowling people.
Yeah.
They have like this, we just want to just serve a bad hot dog and a beer in a plastic cup.
Yeah.
And that's it. And they're not comfortable with like the labor.
Right.
In terms of creating a kitchen.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So again, that's where good consultants come in.
Yeah.
FBC consultants and so forth. To actually show them or help them manage it, but also help them get into like the realm of feeling comfortable about it.
Yeah.
In terms of like the mix and so forth, I personally think food and beverage is a must for everyone.
Yeah.
We're doing, we have multiple projects where basically the audience are tiny little kids.
Yeah.
But guess what? The parents want to have a beer, a nice cup of coffee, while their kids are on the play structure out there.
Yeah.
So it's not really just a bad concession anymore. It's really kind of like accommodating everybody in the group. And, if you have children and it's a rainy Saturday afternoon and you can actually go in the afternoon and have a great cup of coffee while your kid goes maniacally crazy on that, that's a great thing. And it doesn't mean it has to look or feel bad. It can be sophisticated. It can be comfortable.
Yes.
We do a lot of seating of this and that. It's not just plastic.
Right.
Chairs,
benches,
right?
and or the only place to sit is massage chairs on the outside of the trampoline area, and those kinds of things.
And I'm jealous because my kids are older now. But when they were like that age, I used to take them to the mall and walk the mall and then go eat at the food court just to like get out on a winter day.
Yeah.
But.
Well, and to that point, not only food and beverage, but looking at to your point of amenities, like what for the parent who is bringing their kids there and looking for them to be able to blow off some steam and have a good time, is that also going to be an environment that parent who is ultimately controlling the wallet, like how long are they going to feel comfortable there? Sure. And not just with the activities that they can do, but like, are they going to have Wi-Fi? Are they going to have good line of sight to be able to see their kids?
That's
like
incredibly
centralized
to kind of know where our children are at all times.
Yeah, but because if they're constantly looking at their watch or whatever, it's like if dad can, have a little bit of a parent's lounge or be able to have a beer and watch a game, be able to check in, reload the gift card. If he's looking at his watch, like that's an hour to an hour and 15-minute dwell for that group, and they're going to be out and off to the next thing. And so I think not skimping on the amenities of what the environment is where the parents can feel really comfortable with that.
I agree. We have a project where we're actually creating like little work pods.
Oh, nice.
So for parents who work at home, they could be working at a facility and keeping an eye on their children, having a great cup of coffee or something. I assume they're not going on Zoom from that place. But and actually that's a great, that's like one of the things to really understanding what parents with children, and we're talking about that. And we have the whole other thing where as the age group gets older and older, facilities sort of change and so forth.
Yeah. Are there clients that you've worked with where, hey, we started off, this was kind of the target demographic that we worked for, but now we feel like that's aging up, and so we need to come in and we need to do some refresh or some repositioning, not just with different attractions, but just what do we have to, again, as far as those amenities and things, or changing out like from a major kind of reconfiguration of what the initial concept was?
There is. I think that a lot of places that have, FECs, however many decades ago, were basically all in like old industrial buildings. Right. And you'd go there and you would go to the attractions. You might have some sort of quasi-good food and beverage experience, but everything is becoming more sophisticated.
Yeah.
And also, if you're catering to the super young kids, and I'm cribbing from a FEC consultant that's speaking later on today.
Sure.
When you walk in and you see a big play structure, it's not a place I'm going to go and take somebody for a beer.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Like we were just talking about, I'm going to take my small child there and I'm going to work on my computer and I'm going to run around like a maniac. But once you get up into that upper experience, there's kind of setting the mood to your audience.
Yes.
And this all goes back to the very first step that we love our clients to do is discovery. Figure out who you are. You can't be everything to anybody. We had a client that was at IAPA, and I honestly think they bought one of everything as they went down the aisle.
Yeah.
And they had no idea who they were.
Right. Yeah. And it was just, okay, well, that's neat, or this. And that's where, we will harp on so much is just, to your point, you can't be all things to all people or you'll be special to no one. So you need to be really dialed in of who is in my market that has the, that key area that we need to focus on. What then do we need to stem our choices from that? So that way it's a relevant experience where they see it as an extension of who they are, because then they're going to be more likely to come back, and we want to create that really special environment. So, well, Bob, I love nerding out with you. I appreciate you taking the time with us. So I love it, good sir. Well, thank you all for joining us, and be sure to check this out wherever you get your podcasts. If you have ideas for other topics that you'd like us to be jumping into, hit us up on social media. We always appreciate that 5 stars, please and thank you. Shout out to Mikey Mike working the 1s and 2s in the internet for us. And if you have any questions on getting started down this path and developing your concept, can't recommend JKRP enough. They are some switched on cats, and we'll catch you on the next one, troublemakers.
Thank you for having me.